let's talk time management. This is a big one I know for students, at least when they're talking about their burnout and their challenges, is being able to manage their time. And it goes along with balancing the work that we have to do with our family, our, having a life, social life, all of that. Like, how do we manage time when there's only 24 hours in a day and so much that has to get done? So basic ideas, using our time efficiently to accomplish our goals, and then what time management is. And there's different types of time wasters, lack of goals. If we don't have any goals, then we just kind of drift, and that can be difficult. Too many goals, trying to do too much, um, procrastinating, perfectionism, so we just don't get things done because we want it to be perfect, constantly being interrupted. These are the things that get in the way of us efficiently trying to accomplish our goals. So, what do we do about those things? So, here's just some strategies that kind of can be popular. Keep a daily time log, try to figure out how we are spending our time so that we can figure out where we are wasting time and then try to create frameworks for better efficiency. A big clue, and I go back and forth with the word goals because I feel like it can be very depersonalized. And I think it's important to have goals that are in alignment, that are right fit goals, just like having work that is a right fit job, right? We got to have, making sure that our goals are in alignment with who we are and what we truly deeply want. One thing I had my campus classes do recently was to write down their biggest life goal at the moment. You can try this. Like, write down their biggest life goal at the moment. And then I simply asked them, write down why it's important to you. And so they spent a few minutes writing down why it's important to them. And then I said, okay, read that last statement about why it's important to you and write down why is that important to you. So they spent a few minutes doing that. Then I was a real big pain and I said, okay, read that one and write down why is that important to you. And you could go forever doing that. But really trying to get to the why something is meaningful to you. Is it intrinsically meaningful? Is it, a goal is always, I want to lose weight. And it's like, why is that important to you? If it's really important to you because people keep telling you you should, or somebody else thinks it's important, or it's kind of what you're supposed to do in life, then it's not going to be, a good fit. It has to be something that's deeply meaningful to you in some sense. So spending time thinking about what our goals are and prioritizing them. Another activity I have students do sometimes is to take 15 just little like pieces of paper. It's really funny to watch students divide a piece of paper into 15 and how they do that. Some are very careful, some just rip them up. Have 15 little tiny pieces of paper and then just write on each one something that's valuable to you. Like what you think is necessary for a life well lived. So it can be your values that can be tangible or intangible. It can be like money, a home, family, friends, or it can be intangible. Love, honesty, trust. Chocolate even makes my first original list. Travel is always big on my list. So are connections and growth and knowledge and learning and all of these things. So just 15 things. And once you have all of those 15 things out, I want you to pause this if you have any interest in doing it, because I don't want you to hear the next thing if you're actually going to do it. Write the 15 things out, look at them, put them out so you can see them, and then take away 5. You're not picking your top 5, you're actually picking your bottom 5 and putting them to the side. Now, you're not saying they're not important, but you are putting them to the side. And when you're done with that, you're going to have 10. Okay, so pause that again and then do that if you're going to do it. And then I want you to take away the next bottom 5. Again, you're not saying they're not important. They made the top 15. They make the top 10. And then you're left with 5. And you can do this several different ways. You can then prioritize those. You can put them in alignment with how much time do you actually give each one. So travel is always in my top 5, quite honestly. And it goes to the bottom because I just don't have the resources and time for as much travel as I would like right now. And then, maybe health. But if health is at your bottom and it's something that's stressing you out, then it's something maybe you need to spend more time with. Really important to take each of those 5, though, and expand upon it. What does that mean to you? What does that look like in your everyday life? So coming up with ways to align our goals with our values, like what's really important to us, and how are we aligning goals around those things, is a very valuable practice. Okay, so that's just a little life coaching stuff right there on the side. But that's how we can establish our goals and prioritize what's important to us. Look at how we are spending our time and how are we going to juggle all those things. So then it says follow the Pareto principle. And it would say, so if you've got 5 goals here, say your top, even these top five, because I think five is still pretty. There's a lot of goals maybe in life, but these top 5 values that you have, and maybe like if you had one goal around each one, maybe the top two get 80, you know, should have most of your time and then go down. But the Pareto principle simply says that spend most of your time on your most important goals because 20% of your goals contain 80% of the total value of all of your goals. They're the most important things to you. Um, and then there's the idea of prune and weed. That's a very practical thing to maybe do. Process paper and digital information once and as soon as possible. So when you're looking at papers or you're looking at email, either file them or ditch them, but do it immediately. Archive or delete, like emails, file or ditch, paper, things that you have to do. That's just about not kind of keeping everything up in the air, but getting things done as it comes across your desk. Set boundaries to manage your physical workspace and techno stress. So I think this is important. Things like closing your office door if you have an office, schedule specific times to respond to emails, texts, and phone messages. So instead of just having it there and kind of dealing with those when they come in, when they come in, when they come in, say, okay, between 1 and 2, I'm going to deal with all of that. Like instead of just because those are huge interruptions and time sucks that can totally keep us off track. And maybe you need to do it every hour, quite honestly. It could be I'm going to work diligently for an hour and then I'm going to spend 20 minutes dealing with that. And I'm going to work, however works for you. Turn off the cell phone when wanting to focus on a task without interruption or temptation. So put the phone in another room even while if there's something you really got to get done and there's nothing like an emergency or something that you're afraid of. Manage or limit digital fog, screen sucking, and techno stress. With techno stress is the challenge of adapting to new technologies. That can be something at work, like if you have to get used to all these different technologies and aren't sure how, it can cause techno stress. But digital fog and screen sucking, we have to kind of be aware of how much that can like completely zombie us out and try to limit that. Delegate when you can, get other people to help you out. Schedule relaxation time. That's this whole class. Schedule time for a practice. Take care of you so you can work smarter and not harder. People can think, especially type A personalities, can think that, there's no time for me for all that relaxation gobbledygook. But the truth is, if you don't do it, you're going to burn out faster. And then, you're just working hard. You're not working smart. So, job related well being. More than neutralizing negative thoughts about your job, the addition of positive thoughts and feelings is required. So there's one thing just to get rid of, like, well, my job is okay. I'm not going to think negatively about it. But if we don't put in positive thoughts, if we don't find ways to engage, we don't find some vigor around it, if we don't find some hope and some good emotion and positive affect, we're not going to be happy. We're just going to be neutral. Self-determination theory, when we are intrinsically motivated to move toward realistic goals that we choose, we have a greater chance of experiencing well-being. A job is more likely to foster well-being if there's flow. So we talked about flow a long time ago. That's that ability to lose time, to be so invested and excited about something that we're just in it. We're not thinking about being in it. We're doing it. A job that can create flow, then we're more likely to be happy in. And we can develop meaningful relationships. We move forward and so forth and things like that. So be on the lookout for flow. Job-related well-being, elements of job environment that determine well-being. So these are just a list of things that were determined by this Peter Warr that found to make well-being higher on the job. Opportunity for personal control, ability to make choices, to have some freedom within the work that you do. Opportunity to use your skills and talents, to feel that you are It's always so big to like, I got to better my weaknesses. No, you want something that utilizes your strengths. That's really important. Externally generated goals, we have them, but they need to be clear goals presented by leaders that have available resources for meeting them. People are happier when the goals are clear and feasible. That there can be not just the same thing every day, but we get to do some different things that can help us engage. Clear feedback, clear consequences, environmental clarity, so that we know how we're doing. That can also just help. I think positive feedback is always good for people. Availability of money. So reasonable salary that is fair in comparison to others, because it's found that if people find out that they're doing the same kind of work for less than somebody else, ooh, heavy dissatisfaction, understandably. Physical security. You have to feel safe and have comfort. And it's not just safe in terms of my safety, physical safety, but it's also that it's comfortable, that I'm not freezing all the time or I'm not burning hot. That's both safe and comfortable. That we have effective and supportive leadership. We can have good interpersonal communication with people. Even if you're an introvert, you still want to have pleasant interactions with human beings when you have to have it. And we have a job that holds meaning for us. And even they find in studies like social status, or a job that people feel is other people feel is important, seems to increase satisfaction. Yeah. All right, this is the end, but let's look back at our positive psychology approach to all of this. If employees learn to savor eustress experiences, so we know what that is, I don't have to define it, and learn how to cope with distress. We don't want to just do one or the other, but there needs to be a balance of both. We're not ignoring that there's distress or that there's stress, but we learn to cope with those things, and we kind of savor the good and cope with the difficult. They will be more likely to be able to manage their work stress. A holistic model of stress applied to work stress was presented by Nelson and Simmons, and it was in a chapter called Savoring Eustress While Coping with Distress. Organizations, they believe organizations should focus on promoting eustress, and that includes factors such as Antonovsky's coherence model, so meaningfulness and manageability, that people feel that there's something meaningful in what they're doing, that they can manage the issues that come up, creating hope, positive affect, satisfaction, commitment, and vigor, and engagement, I would add there. How does the organization help people promote those things? Establish meaningful goals that generate hope, share more information to increase worker satisfaction, and redesign jobs to enhance positive and engaging features of work. Things that are important to the worker, to the individual. What is important to your staff and your employees, and how are you increasing those things? So those are things that an employee can do. So here was just a holistic model. So I think this is kind of interesting. It looks like a lot of gobbledygook, but on the left-hand side, we have stressors, role demands, interpersonal demands, physical demands, workplace policies, job conditions, all things that can cause us stress. So then from that, we can have both eustress and distress. Now, there are going to be individual differences, things like levels of optimism, hardiness, locus of control, self-reliance, sense of coherence. Those are individual kind of levels that we come in with those things. And so then we have eustress and distress, and we have to learn to cope with the distress, right? We have to learn to maybe build optimism, build hardiness, create an internal locus of control, self-reliance, and a sense of coherence. And maybe we do that by actually working on strengthening the eustress. Hope, positive affect, vigor, meaningfulness, mindfulness, I think should be in there. And if we learn to cope with the distress and savor the eustress, we want the outcomes of physical and mental health, work performance, spouse's health, marital quality, quality of care for children, friendships, community involvement, all of those things. So we have to do both. We have to learn to savor and enhance eustress and good things, and we have to learn to manage and deal with the difficult things. I think that's the entire purpose of our class. So, all right, so I think that's it here. It's the day after Halloween. This is the only thing I ever do for Halloween. So where's my other ear? There. It's not going on straight. I'm a panda. That's about it. That's about it. creative as I get for Halloween. I hope you guys had a wonderful one. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Not everybody will hear this over Halloween, but oh well. Um, take care, and I'll see you next time.